A king once had two serpents growing out of his shoulders, and every single day for 1,000 years they had to be fed on the brains of two living human beings. His name was Zahhak, and he did not begin his life as a monster. He began as a prince, a handsome and ambitious young prince, the son of a good and noble king. But there was a being of pure evil loose in the world. The Persians called him Ahriman, the spirit of darkness and of lies. And Ahriman looked at this ambitious young prince, and he saw a way inside. He came to Zahhak disguised as a friend, and he began to whisper to him, "Why wait for a throne that could be yours right now? Your father is old. The whole kingdom should already belong to you." And he whispered, until the poison finally took hold. And Zahhak murdered his own father. He dug a deep pit along a path, and his father fell into it and died. And Zahhak took the throne for himself with his father's blood on his hands. The very first step into the darkness had been taken. And then Ahriman came back, this time disguised as a brilliant cook who served Zahhak the most magnificent meals he had ever tasted in his life. And the delighted king offered the cook any reward that he desired. And the cook asked for only one strange thing: to be allowed to kiss the king's shoulders. Zahhak agreed. The cook pressed his lips to each of the king's bare shoulders, and then he simply vanished into thin air. And from the two places where the devil's lips had touched, two things began to grow, two black serpents, rising slowly up out of the king's own flesh. Zahhak was horrified. He had the serpents cut off at once, but the very instant they were cut away, they grew straight back, twice as fast as before. They could not be removed. They were a part of him now, and they were hungry. And so, Ahriman returned one final time, disguised now as a wise physician, and he gave the king his diagnosis. "There is only one way," he said, "to keep the serpents calm and to keep yourself alive. You must feed them every single day with the brains of men." And so it began. Every day, two young people were seized from somewhere in the kingdom and killed, and their brains were fed to the serpents that grew from the shoulders of the king. 2 lives, every single day, to quiet the hunger of a monster. And Zahhak ruled like that for 1,000 years, a reign of pure terror. The good king who had ruled before him was hunted down and sawn in two. The land itself withered, and every dawn 2 more families learned that their children had been taken for the serpents. But in a humble corner of that kingdom, there lived a blacksmith, a simple, honest working man named Kaveh. And Kaveh had many sons, and one by one, the king's men had come and taken them away and fed them to the serpents, until only a single son remained. And when they finally came for his last boy, something inside Kaveh broke. Or rather, something inside him at last stood up. He stormed all the way into the palace of the Serpent King himself. And there, in front of the entire royal court, he denounced the tyrant to his face. And then Kaveh did the thing that started a revolution. He took the simple leather apron that he wore at his forge, the symbol of his trade, the mark of an honest working man, and he raised it up high on the point of a spear, as a banner, as a flag for every single person who had suffered to rally behind. And they did. The people who had endured 1,000 years of terror rose up behind a blacksmith's apron, and together they went searching for the one man who could lead them. For there was an old prophecy that a hero would one day come to end the reign of Zahhak. His name was Fereydun. And the Serpent King had been hunting for him for his entire life, because Zahhak had dreamed that this one man would destroy him. As a baby, Fereydun had been hidden away by his desperate mother and raised in secret, nursed, the legend says, by a wondrous magical cow. Now, Fereydun was grown, and he was everything that the tyrant had feared. He took up a great mace, forged in the shape of the head of a bull, and he placed himself at the head of Kaveh's rebellion, and he marched on the palace of the Serpent King. Fereydun stormed the fortress. He fought his way through to the throne room, and he faced Zahhak at last. And he lifted his great bull-headed mace to crush the skull of the monster who had terrorized the entire world for 1,000 years. But as he swung, a voice cried out and stopped him. An angel appeared and seized his arm. "Do not kill him," the angel warned. "It is not yet the time for him to die. If you kill him now, things even worse than him will crawl out into the world to take his place." So instead, Fereydun bound the Serpent King. He wrapped him in the pelt of a lion, and he dragged him, still living, high up into the mountains, to a deep and dark and freezing cave inside the highest peak in all of Persia, a mountain called Damavand. And there, deep inside the heart of that mountain, Fereydun chained Zahhak to the rock. He nailed him to the wall of the cave, with his 2 black serpents still rising from his shoulders, alive and starving forever. And there, the Persians believed, Zahhak hangs to this very day, bound in the cold, dark heart of the mountain, suffering, unable to die, and unable ever to be free. For the legend says that Zahhak is not truly gone. He is only imprisoned, and that at the very end of the world, in its final and darkest days, his ancient chains will finally snap, and the Serpent King will burst free from the mountain and ride out one last time to devour a great portion of all the living before one final hero rises to cut him down for good. But what the Persians remembered most, in the end, was not the monster at all. It was the blacksmith, Kaveh, the simple working man who lost almost everything he had and then stood up on the day that no king and no hero would. His humble leather apron, raised high on a spear, became the royal banner of Persia for centuries afterward. A flag born not from a crown or from a god, but from the righteous rage of one ordinary man who had finally, simply, had enough. The story of Zahhak is one of the oldest warnings ever written down. A warning about how evil actually gets in, not all at once, but one whisper and one small surrender at a time. A prince who listened to the wrong voice, a single murder that grew into a monster, 2 serpents that could never, ever be fed enough, and 1,000 years of darkness that all began with one ambitious thought. He is still up there, the Persians say, in the cold and the dark at the very top of the mountain, waiting. The king who let the devil kiss his shoulders. But so is the apron, the banner of the blacksmith who brought him down, evil, chained inside a mountain, and the ordinary courage that put it there. I am Pantheon X. Until next time.